Bienvenidos a Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Mi nombre es Román, es un placer estar con todos ustedes en esta serie de especiales. El día de hoy traemos una entrevista que rescatamos de Bands Channel 666. Nos toca conversar con Colin de Amenra y Absent in Body, esta nueva banda, super banda diría yo, conformada por Scott Kelly, por supuesto Colin, también está Matthew de Amenra, y también Igor Cavalera de los Cavalera Conspiracy o de Sepultura, como usted lo quiera ver. Está muy interesante. Esta entrevista la hice en conjunto con Gerardo Arias, mi compadre de Vinum Sabati. La verdad es que la percepción de la vida de Colin, la percepción del dolor y cómo transforma el dolor en arte a través de la música es algo impresionante. Le preguntamos por supuesto también su relación con Malachi Black, este luchador de AEW, quien es muy fan de Amenra y de todas las bandas que están saliendo. Así que bueno, a él sí le gustaban las luchas de pequeño, las americanas obviamente. También nos dijo algo muy importante, le preguntamos sobre las letras, sobre el significado de El Cuervo. En cuanto a las letras nos dijo, no se preocupen por lo que dicen las letras, simplemente sientan la música que los lleve y los transforme. Y bueno, sobre la descripción del Cuervo, pues bueno, es más complicada, así que pocas palabras, tiene que ver con el renacer, con el luchar, con el transformar justo el dolor en arte, el vivir cada día lo mejor que podamos. Así que la entrevista de hoy es muy filosófica pero muy increíble. Esperemos platicar nuevamente con Colin, pero bueno, mientras tanto los dejamos con esta entrevista. Disfrútela, gócela.
Some distance in your eyes, hurry me to sleep tonight. You touch the vibe, I saw distance in your eyes. You came to claim what was his, and for years I lived somewhere to rearrange. I retreat, lips to your embrace, wanted you to stay. In your eyes
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to try. My English is not the best, so I'm going to try to read this question. So just be patient. Okay.
We'll make it work.
So first question: you did several live ceremonies with reference to the Second World War. There was a ritual with fire, the circle. Does that have any relation in the composition of the new album?
Yeah, we did. We actually wrote the songs for the album. Actually, we wrote the songs for those rituals, for those fire rituals, and then we recorded those songs. Yeah, yeah. So we
Wow.
really wrote it for things. Yeah.
Do you have a next question, Gerardo, for Colin?
Yeah, hello, Colin. A pleasure to be here
Hey.
too. Um, so let's carry on with the interview. It is very difficult to be able to interpret or understand the album because it is written in your native language. There are very poetic parts that a translator cannot really make sense of. Could you tell us a bit about this content?
Yeah. Well, actually, the translations of my lyrics are in the album, so I knew it was important for people who do not speak my native language to understand what it is about. So it's like like I said, we wrote the album for those special fire rituals that we did
Yeah.
here in our home country, and we had constructed a situation where people could uh, join the fire ritual and put all their unacknowledged losses, so the things that caused grief in their lives and that was making their lives harder to live, to put them in the fire so we could burn them together. So in a way, some of the songs are me addressing all the people who are there and talking them through the night actually, and through those hardships in life, and it feels like um, a voice from above is talking to everyone actually, and trying to pull them through whatever situations that they need to get out of, and things like that. It's hard to explain. It's in Amenra, the music is more something that you have to feel
Yes.
instead of having it explained. It's hard to really literally explain what it is about. It's a
Yeah.
feeling of togetherness, of support, of empathy.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
more the idea of the
I think that's very
yeah.
special, not just for this album, talking about Amenra in general, because I know the first time I almost cried when I saw you. It was my first time I traveled to the US to see you, and was an amazing experience for us. Then you came to Mexico 2 3 years
Thanks.
ago, but I totally understand when you feel the music and change something in your life. It's like I mean, for me, a concert of Hammer Right is like a ritual. You know, you transform in that ritual, and you're a new person. That's my perception of your music and of your
Yeah,
shows.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Oh,
It should be a sort of cleansing experience or something. Yeah.
yeah. That's I also want to add that I totally agree with you. It's a music that you have to feel, and it's very interesting what Roman says because when I saw you, also it was I prefer watching you live than listening to the records because I feel more.
Yeah.
I feel more. It's as Roman said, it's like a ceremony sort of thing, and a lot of music in this in this genre is um, instrumental. So it's
Hmm.
sort of like the same thing. It's more to feel it rather than
Yeah, yeah.
it has a very single meaning. I think it fits perfectly for everyone to grab it and then give the meaning and feel it rather than having a very
Yeah.
special or specific meaning.
People, what is important for the people is what the music means to them, not necessarily what I wrote about.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why we try to keep it abstract. But
Yeah,
and I think it's a beautiful thing that it's there is no nationality or specific. Um, it's universal. That's what I mean. It belongs to humanity. That feeling, it's something that we all feel, no matter what continent we come from. It's something that we all feelings that we all recognize. And that's really nice nice to be able to work with that.
definitely. And well, next question for you. Over the years, you have been in various parallel projects to Amenra, such as Kingdom, Sembler Dead, Harlow, of course, your solo project. Are there any future plans with any of those past projects?
Um, Not really. No, we only make like new projects. We keep on making more and more instead of continuing older ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it makes it interesting, you know. I believe that stories need to be told in a certain period, you know, and then
yeah,
a certain band tells that story, and then it is told, and then you kind of move on.
yeah,
In our case, mostly we move on back to our main bands, you know, like Amenra, or and then suddenly there's a new story that needs to be told in between, or you know, and a new band is formed, and it's like a, you know, a continuous flow of creation, I think. Yeah.
yeah.
And continuing talking about the musical career now, we know that you're part of a new project, which is Absent in Body, and a band
Yes.
that was created originally by Matthew and Scott Kelly. And
Yeah.
could you tell us a little bit about your input as a bassist and vocalist and their cooperation of
Igor Cavalera, sí, sí, sí.
in the drums?
Um, um, so the songs, Matthew started writing the songs in 2017. I remember when we were on tour with Amen Ra, he was working on his laptop a lot, and he told me that he found inspiration in the different landscapes that passed by, you know, night landscapes, snow, or other or forests or whatever we were passing through at that moment. And then Scott was the first one to add his guitar play when he ended a solo tour, I think, and then he passed by our studio, and then Igor spent a lot of time in our city here in Ghent, because he plays in drums in a band here, that is from here. So we ran into each other as well. It's a very small city that we live in, so it's not hard to not miss each other. And then the plans were made that, hey, we should do something together. And then, we were working on Absent Body. So that's how we all got together in the studio here in Belgium. And yeah, it's getting released next month. So we're really happy that we're able to do that as well. That is a new project, yeah, a new story that needed to be told. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ethan from Primitive Man, and you are listening to Doomed and Stoned Latino America.
We can wait to hear the full album. Also, do you have any plans for a tour with this project?
It'll depend on the personal agendas. You know,
Yeah,
we have enough to do with our other bands. So we mainly wanted to make an album that was, uh, signature for contemporary times. We wanted to create a beast, and then we'll see from there on. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we are very, very excited about this new project. It's a surprise for us. I think you released like Matthew and Scott released a previous album. No, it's very limited, like a
Yeah.
100 record, something like that. I read that.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know, 2017 or
Yeah,
16, I think it was released. Yeah, and they had written it's a 20-minute piece or something, and I did some vocals on there too. But there were like 500 copies on vinyl, and that was it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, now talking about Amenra, why did you decide to pause or finish with the Mass album series?
Well, like after we had written the music for these different gatherings and rituals here, um, we wanted to put them on an album, because they fit together and they were written for one purpose. And then we asked ourselves the question, like, is this mass 7? And then we were like, yeah, no, it's not. It's something different. It was conceived in another mindset. It was built in a different way, and it felt different. So that's why we gave it another name. But that doesn't mean that there might not be a follow up mass at some point, But it all depends on how it was written and why it was written, pretty much.
Yeah.
And talking about the mass, this is a personal question that I was looking forward to actually to ask, and this is because I consider myself a very big fan of when artists or bands use certain or specific sorts of like nature to put in their albums or in their covers. And I've always wondered why a dead swan. What does that symbolize? And also the three claws of the crow, if it is a crow, of course.
It was a crow, yeah. Like for the Mass 6 album, a photographer, a friend of ours, Stefan van Vlieten, made a series of all typical animals of our country and our area or territory here. Um, and that they were all animals that were found, and most of them were donated by an organization here. And the swans this materialized the music that was on that album pretty much. We always go looking for an image um, that tells the same story or has the same element as the music or as the album. So the swan it is a very gracious animal, but at the same time it's very protective and ferocious. Ferocious. It attacks you as well when it feels threatened, and that's what I liked about the comparison between the swan, and it was a dead swan, obviously, and the gracious still image of that strong animal that still holds its beauty after death, and that's what we kind of do with our music as well. We try to see the we always say we try to move from darkness into light. We try to see the 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 light in a situation that might be pitch black. We try to look for ways to for means of survival, pretty much in a human life. So that was a bit the idea of the cover album, of the cover image of Mass 5. And as for the three claw symbol, we call it the tripod. Um, that symbolizes the idea of that life and the time frame of a lifetime is a very short period. So you have to be aware of that. Those claws that symbolize death, pretty much, and the end can sweep the feet under your body at any minute, any second. It can be done. So you have to try to live a life where where you do not have to have regret, and where you have to try to live that life as in an as good as possible manner, and try to be kind and kind-hearted to the people that you encounter, and try to help each other as much as you can. And that's a bit the idea of the tripod symbol that we use.
back to the new album of Amenra Der Dome, has two different studio mixes. What is the biggest difference between the two?
Um, so the first mix, our bass player Tim took the forefront on that one, and we all uh, followed the idea of what an Amen Ra album should sound like, and that is um, bass driven, low and heavy. You have to almost feel the impact of the basses, and um, it was, yeah, tightly knit how we saw an Amen Ra album. But at the same time, we wondered how someone else that was outside our circle would interpret those songs, and
Yeah.
how he would um, would 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 finish them, or would make them sound, or how they felt it. So that's why me and Leonard went to the States, to set Manchester, to do the other mix. Um, which is very unconventional for a band to do that, but it's really interesting to us. It's really interesting to know, um, to do that exercise with your music. So the other mix is more, instead of focusing on the heavy lows, it was somewhat more in the mid section. So the
Yeah.
guitars might have some more detail, and that is especially something that our guitar player Leonard monitored. That's not my very area of expertise. But and we also put, there is another singer on the record, Caro Tange,
Yes.
a friend of ours, which in the first mix we put um, at the same height as me, and maybe a little less present. And on the second mix, we pushed Caro to the front, and we, for some songs, we pushed me to the back. Um, and that was also following the idea of that. There is a lot of tendency to say that, my presence on as a singer, as a vocalist, it puts a very distinct identity stamp on music, to change that in a way, to shift and make a Carl to the forefront. So the idea is, when, if I ever should disappear in some way or another, there's always someone ready to that could follow and keep the torch going, the flame going.
Yeah.
So there's a bit more caro, and there's a bit more experimentation, and Seth had a little more balls to distort some things more, and yeah, to make it a different aspect. It's a little more um, aggressive, I think,
Yeah.
instead of heavy.
And now this is more like a personal question too. I'm a big fan of lucha libre or wrestling. I was shocked when I saw
Yeah.
that Tommy End, Malachi Black, used an Amenra song for his entrance. Can you tell us how is your
Yeah.
relationship with him, and if you like wrestling or lucha libre?
Yeah, so funny. Yeah, I have to say, the last years or decade or whatever, I'm not really, I wasn't really up to date anymore, but I used to always look, when I was younger, but I was then still WWF wrestling.
Yeah, yeah,
So I really was a big fan of that when I was younger, and I had all these wrestling dolls and
yeah,
shit
yeah.
that I played with them when I was a kid.
Mm.
Uh, so there's yeah, I kind of love it. The heart that was installed there when I was younger. And Thomas is from the Netherlands, um, and obviously it's pretty spectacular for us that he was able to become so big in that sport, or out there. So I definitely had an eye on it, and with his background in metal music,
Yeah.
we had some uh, um, we had some similar friends. We had some mutual friends and stuff, so we were aware of each other, and then we reached out and started talking, how, just asking how he was doing, and blah blah. And then, yeah, I think for him it was interesting to have music that was in his native language. It made it also for him like way more personal than it ever had been. So that's how we kind of connected, and we started talking about uh like the song Ogentroost is a plant that is used to cure eye diseases, and
Yes.
it also literally means like eyes of comfort. So it really fit his character well, because he also has
Yes.
like
Yes.
a defunct eye. So it clicked together, and it kind of matched perfectly, and it was cool for us to be part of it.
Yeah, cool for me too. I'm a big fan. I remember I was watching, AW, and suddenly he appears and it's, wait a minute, that's a song from Amenra. Oh yeah, and the character of Tommy and Malachi Black is dark. He's a badass guy, so
Yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah.
I feel finally I feel happy with the entrance song from a luchador or wrestler. So yeah, I have that.
Yeah, it's nice to see like different worlds come together at some point.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
dust. Het nieuwe land. De stilte. Nooit voorbij.
Slow
now we have the last question in our question list, and in 2020 you visited our country, which is Mexico and South America for the first time, and how was that experience for you? And if you have any plans to come back in the near future or not?
Yeah, we'd love to come back as soon as we possibly can. As soon as, but we still have to do like all the other continents touring now, because the last yeah, it was not that long ago. We didn't do anything else after that. So yeah, it was really amazing. I really loved we really loved the time we spent in Mexico City and in Monterrey. It was really great to see to see your country, and it's for us, as a group of friends, it's really amazing to have the opportunity to do that. And everyone was so nice to us, the tour manager and the guys who organized the festivals, and it was really, yeah, we really felt welcomed, and it was really an amazing experience, and that accounted for the other South American countries as well, So as we'll get back out there as quickly as we can. Yeah, definitely.